Good morning, Big Forehead Gang. Welcome back to another episode of Popeye's Chicken Sandwich Review, which may or may not be called that. I don't know. Popeye's Chicken Sandwich Review 3.5. So, this show recently came to my attention thanks to JonTron, and thankfully, the entire season they have of it is on YouTube. It's literally the first thing that shows up when you look it up on there. So it's called Kid Nation, and the whole thing starts with like these kids on a bus, and they're talking about, oh, we got all kinds of kids here: smart kids, dumb kids, poor kids, white kids, Asian kids, you name it. And they get dropped off at this place, and there's this one 8-year-old kid named Jimmy, who is like the whole show is just gonna be awful as soon as he leaves. So they get there, and then a helicopter comes with 4 more kids who are supposed to be like the leaders. And there's this one dude named Mike. Screw Mike. Mike was just terrible. Like they had to walk like a couple miles to get to the town they had to go to. They were dragging their stuff. He was just right next to all the wagons screaming, "Go, go, come on!" And Mike was just awful. Mike was the worst part about that show. So they get to the place. One of the kids in charge already starts crying, and there's like 8 shots of kids crying. I don't know why. They just thought it was really important to show them crying. So you have like a meeting or whatever, and then Jimmy starts crying. And in the interview that JonTron gave him, so he runs away. He's like sitting in the back of a barn or whatever. The camera guys literally come up to you. "Hey Jimmy, can we film you?" And for some reason he said yes, so they went and did it. And then they have their town hall meeting, or no, that... Okay, first they made like... I don't even know what they made, some pasta thing. And it seemed like the only person there who really knew what they were doing was that like 14-year-old chef girl. So then they have a meeting, some more people cry, and then they have this like big event where they have all these big water towers up or whatever, and they have to like get water through them and then put the water in the bottles so they could form a feudalist society. And then and then they decided like who everyone's jobs are. So now everyone has their salaries picked. She better not come in the work. She's gone. So then they like pick everyone's jobs, and that determines their salaries or whatever. So then like the 14-year-old girl wants a bike. So she just stands in the middle of the street, and she starts she's just randomly dancing in the street, and these kids are going by and like giving her money until she could get it. I don't even know why she wanted the bike. I mean, there wasn't a single sidewalk or street that you could ride it on that wouldn't just be like horrendously like bumpy, because everything there was just dirt. This entire city is dirt. So then they have this thing where they go like jackrabbit hunting or whatever, and they have that Jimmy kid. He's talking about how he's gonna leave, and then they tell him, no, you shouldn't. And then they yell something like, "This is man's time," or "This is man's country," or whatever. So then they go to the town hall meeting. Go to the town hall meeting where Jimmy leaves because he's homesick, which makes sense for an 8-year-old that was thrown in the middle of the desert. And immediately after he walks out there, and they're like, "Hey, this star's worth $20,000, and we're giving it to the cook girl that's hopefully ends up overthrowing the town government by the end of the show. I swear, she's at my door. So then she calls her mom. They have like this stage thing or whatever. And that's the first episode of Kid Nation. I guess I'll do another one for the second and keep going, or I could spoil The Mandalorian again. Who knows? Good morning, Big Forehead Gang. Welcome back to another Popeye's Chicken Sandwich review, which may or may not be called that because I'm thinking of just putting all the spoiled Kid Nation things together as one super long video that not a single person's gonna watch. So, episode 2, this one starts off with them planning on killing some chickens so they can like have protein and survive. So the 15-year-old dude, he volunteers, but then the weird little like chubby vegan girl says that like that's immoral or whatever, and her and the 4 people that like didn't want to kill chickens tried to lock themselves in the chicken coop. This is what happened when they let Jimmy go. The whole show just started to suck when they got rid of the 8-year-old. I mean, he was probably the character that was paid the most attention to in the first one. And, like, crap, I can't remember that other dude's name. But there's, like, that weird ADHD kid. The one, okay, so they kill the chickens, and the dude I'm talking about, he's the one that said, we sped up the natural process of life and death. We gave those 2 suckers a shortcut. That dude. So, and they like kill the chickens and stuff, and then they're all mad because the chef girl is doing all the cooking. Well, the group that's supposed to just doesn't like get out of their shed or whatever they slept in. And yeah, they all get mad at stuff. Vegan girl threatens to leave. Then they fix some frozen water pipe thingy. Yeah, that's it. Don't get mad at me. So they fix that, and then they have another like competition where they have to connect a bunch of stuff, a bunch of like pipes to a porta potty and get like water to flow and spin a wheel. And they fail at that, so they don't get their 40-foot water slide. And then after that, there's the town hall meeting where once again the chef girl is, it seems like she's gonna overthrow the city government, and that is awesome. And then everyone gets mad at them because the one girl, like, her group or whatever isn't doing any work. Forgot to mention, screw Mike. Mike sucks. He's the worst part about that show. Greg could have gotten that star because he killed the chickens, and even the kids that said that they didn't want to kill the chickens went and watched that. But Mike said that he's not going to get it because Mike sucks. He does. So then they give it to Michael because of the thing with the pipes. And it's about it for that episode. No one left. Except Jimmy's soul or whatever. So, yeah, we're on episode 3 right now. So, they like stay up all night or whatever pretending to be drunk on root beer, which is a little weird. And then like the day after, they have like the day after no one's waking up, so Greg, who they're making out to be like the villain of the whole show, just goes around like banging trash can lids, and then he grabs someone's sleeping bag and like drags her down a couple steps. So, and everyone gets mad at him, and then he starts cussing, which makes the 8-year-old girl start crying. And I realized at this point, if Greg or Sophia disappear before the show's over, the whole thing's just screwed. Like, no one's gonna watch it when they're done, because the only two people left holding it together. It already went downhill when Jimmy left, but they're going to be really screwed when the two of them are gone. So then they have their competition where they go and like tear cards off of goats. No, those are sheep. Yeah, and so Taylor's group, screw Taylor sucks. So they end up winning. They're the upper class, and they had already been doing like a terrible job with their job before that. And so yeah, after that, they get to choose between a bunch of pizzas or a super old looking microwave that's probably gonna break in like a week. And yeah, the council that only has two at least kind of likable characters on it and two that are just terrible. Screw Mike. Mike sucks. So yeah, so then they get together. They can't come to a decision. So Taylor's team won the competition. So she says, we're getting the microwave, and everyone starts screaming at her. And I was really hoping they would overthrow the government. That needs to happen before the show ends. I mean, 10-year-olds in guerrilla warfare, who wouldn't want to see that? Yeah, so then everything changes, and the green team, they get to be the cooks, or the official cooks, because they had already been doing Taylor's team's job. Oh yeah, forgot. They put down a curfew for 9:30, and then they make everyone like come into a room. Okay, at one at a time, and like the entire council's in there. The entire council's in there, and like they're just asking, hey, who should get the star or whatever? That's apparently worth $20,000 that I would just chuck off of a roof if I got it. And yeah, everyone either says two people, and then one girl comes in and says her little sister. So they give it to her little sister since it's like her birthday. And that's it. That's the episode. I knew it would be terrible without Jimmy. Good Morgan, Big Forehead Gang. Welcome to part 4 of this Kid Nation thing. I've watched a stupid amount of this show this day, and I'm not looking forward to the rest of it. Let me just say it first. I never really cared about beauty pageants. I know people are against whatever, but I don't care if people want to do it. I mean, they can, but, well, I guess not anymore. Because now I hate them because of how cocky they made Taylor. I don't care that she was 10. I'd give Jeffrey Epstein her address. So, this episode starts out with a topic that I don't think they should have covered, which was religion. And, of course, there was only like one kid in town that knew about all of them. And they were in like the cafeteria all arguing about religions, and there were only like 4 people that were smart about it. So they tried to put together some service, or like the town leaders, and not a single person showed up, which they deserved that. And then, can't remember her name. The girl that ended up getting the gold star went around and got people to go to her own thing. And I skipped that part because I don't care about it. But then they had a competition to, they had to put together a puzzle of a church and raise it up. And unfortunately, Taylor's team didn't get the laborer class because screw Taylor, she sucks. And what happened after that? I'm trying not to make this too long. So, yeah, after that, pulling a blank, what happened? Okay, I'm gonna just skip to they got to like this part where, okay, never mind. So I just remembered the like prizes they got. They could have chosen between mini golf and a bunch of holy books, and for some reason these kids picked reading the Torah or whatever over fun. And I mean, why? Then like the one dude there that was Hindi did like a Hinduism kind of thing. I don't know what to call it. There was fire involved, so I mean, kind of cool. But yeah, that was really most of the episode. Just covered religion, and at the end, another dude finally left, and he was one of those like 3 kids that were going jackrabbit hunting, and Jimmy had already left because he was one of them. And now this guy left, and the last one that was there, dude, the ending scene was just hilarious because it's him going into their bar thing, ordering a cup of root beer, and then he's like acting like it's actual beer, and he looks super depressed. He's like, I need to take my minds off of things. So then he does that, and that was absolutely hilarious. And then they give the star to Religion Girl. No, that happened before. And yeah, that was episode 4, and I'm already tired of watching it. Guten Morgen, Big Forehead Gang. So for this one, I'm going to combine parts 5 and 6, because I kind of forgot most of what happened during part 5, but they went from religion, which is already a touchy subject, to politics. Who decided that would be like a good jump to make? So Mike and Taylor, they both suck. Screw Mike and Taylor. They got voted out for 2 people whose names I can't remember. And yeah, I remember they had a decision. I can't remember what they picked, but I remember it was for like toothpaste. Yeah, they got like toothbrushes and toothpaste. The council voted for it instead of like a barbecue, which everyone wanted a barbecue because they hadn't had any food that wasn't like biscuits or pasta for 2 weeks. But the council had voted on the toothpaste, which I'm pretty sure is why Taylor, screw Taylor. Taylor sucks. And Mike, screw Mike. Mike sucks. Both got voted out. And they finally gave Greg a gold star. Is that his name? Greg? Gabe? I don't know. The big dude. So, what happened in 6? It's been a minute since I saw these, but oh yeah, 6, they had a problem with their trash, and so they chose a bunch of people, like including Taylor, to go get the trash, walk outside of the city and just bury it somewhere, but Taylor said that she wasn't gonna do it, so now I'm really gonna find her address, and so Taylor said no. Then they punished her, but Taylor's friend went and did it. And her punishment was that they ran out of water, like in their tank. So she had to go walk back and forth with water until it was full. And then she just went and got the water and then made a scene by like throwing it on the ground. So yeah, she just kept refusing to work. And then whatever dude ended up taking her spot on the council just took her pay away. And that was awesome. It was just awesome watching her get her pay taken away. So, yeah, then, like, the 2 episodes that I'm going over now, they had started building up DK's character a lot. And he became kind of important to the story. So they decided, you know what, we're gonna go ahead and give DK this star. And at their council meeting, he raised his hand to go leave, and the entire room started crying. They all just started crying. And then Geiler, yeah, the dude in charge of the red team, went and walked outside and convinced him not to go. And then he got the $20,000 star. I also realized that it's probably scripted with like how they pick their prizes when they complete a challenge, because in this episode they had a bunch of vegetables and then dune buggies. Everyone was screaming for the dune buggies. I'm pretty sure at least 3 people from the council were too. They get there, they get together, and then they pick the vegetables. Like, these kids were actually told, hey, you guys are going to go out in the middle of the desert, stay up till 2 a.m. every day, and just have fun. You don't have to go to school or nothing. And there's no way any other kid would have picked the vegetables over that. Like, I want a dune buggy. Guten Morgen and welcome back to I change my jacket and hat every time I do this. So, I'll flex this real quickly. So, we're on episode 7. It starts out with some girl that hasn't had, like, much screen time, making, like, a bunch of snacks and stuff. And, my boy Jared, who's, a little weird, but all of his comments are, I'd say, very insightful. He's that one kid that's always like off doing his own thing, and they'll film him, he's alone just playing with the dirt or something, like Martin Luther King had a dream. That dude, he got mad over the so-called snack monopoly, so he went and wrecked her booth. And then there was like some arguing and stuff. And then like they apologized or whatever. And out of nowhere, this dude named Nathan shows up. Like, I haven't seen him a single time before then. Like, and he's all into chores and stuff. And so the leaders all go into a mine where they start freaking out because there were like a couple bats in there. They find like a box that I guess whoever's like in charge of the show had put a bunch of buffalo nickels, which was their currency, in them. So they decide not to give them to the people because they know that, I mean, they're all like 9 years old. They're just gonna spend it on candy. So they bought 2 guitars, which I can already tell were horrendously played. Looking at my guitar right now, realizing one of those has been abused. 2 of those have been abused. And I got, I guess, some like sports stuff. So they all go out and play baseball, but this little Nathan dude, he's just washing clothes. And someone else comes to help, and they find some like they're like panties in there that probably belong to some like 8-year-old girl, and neither of them know what it is. And they're just looking at it like, yo, this is gross. I'm touching someone else's underwear. And one of the leaders goes, hey, you know, we'll do that for you. You don't have to do it. And they just keep like touching them and cleaning it. No, we got this. We got this. So then they have a competition. What was the competition? They had eggs. Like these little like they had these big like circle thingies that they'd catch the eggs on, and they had to like launch them really far. And the red team and the blue team, they both just get awful. No, not the blue team, the red team and the green team. I think I got it right. Yeah, and they needed 4 dozen eggs to get their prize. So, yeah, so the blue team carried everyone. They got 38, which is 10 short, and of course the other 3 teams had more than 10. So they got it. And they got to choose between washing machines, which were 20 cents to use, and new clothes and old washing machines that were like manually controlled. I gotta sneeze, but it's not coming out. Alright, so they ended up picking the old washing machines and new clothes. Dude, I gotta sneeze. It's just staying up there. It sucks. They picked that. They kept giving Taylor screen time. Screw Taylor. She sucks. She's one of the worst parts about that show. And she just screams every time she's on. I don't know why. But after that, Jared makes this... Oh, crap. Forgot to say. So, yeah, they went with the old ones because the like labor class couldn't afford to use the normal washing machines, so they went with the old ones, which the laborers actually liked because they said they were fun to use. And Mike, he seems to be redeeming himself a bit from being knocked down to the bottom. So then my boy Jared, he opens up a necklace stand, and he's selling necklaces for like 2 cents each or whatever. He was selling them faster than he could make them. Should have raised the price. That would have been smart. That would have been total Chad libertarian move right there. So yeah, then he becomes like the richest person in the city. So he could have gone out and bought candy. He could have gone to the saloon and pretended to get drunk off of root beer like most of them do. He bought an outfit, strutted around that town looking like a straight up pimp. He had the hat, the cane, the big coat. He was a little weird, but I mean, he had his own thing going on. So he was walking around, all the girls, look at my pimp cane. And I don't know, they were like laughing, or like, that looks good. So then it like kind of, oh wait, no. Then they give this Nathan guy, who appears to have only been there for 1 episode, but apparently he was there the whole time. I guess he was just off doing chores. They give him the gold star, and he goes and talks to his mom, whatever. Him and Gabe or Greg, or I still barely know the dude's name. I don't really care because he's on a TV show. Like, they get along because apparently they hadn't, and I guess they just threw that in because Mike and the big dude hadn't really been like fighting as much. So that was episode 7. See y'all in hopefully not an hour. I do too many of these, too short of time. Alright, so episode 8. It starts out with people like complaining about how it's like boring in Bonanza City or whatever. So Sophia lays down in the street and pretends to be dead. And then they introduce two girls from like the blue team who are currently on the top that aren't doing any work. And they're kind of forced to, so they don't.
You're talking too loudly. Talk quieter.
So, yeah, so they start doing work so they don't have to, like, clean toilet bowls because the rest of the team threatened to, like, throw the match. But, yeah, then there are, like, two girls from Kentucky that I haven't seen before. And one of them's, like, crying, threatening to go home or whatever. The other one's trying to cheer up. So then they decide, you know what, let's do a talent show. And the competition happened a little early in this one. So they went and like the entire team chewed gum, and they had their team leader buy like this giant poster or whatever. He had to stick the gum to it so it could form like a donkey. And I'm kind of losing my mind right now. I spent 5 straight hours watching this. So they end up losing the competition. And they get really mad because one of the things they could have gotten, Jonathan Karsh opened it, and they're just a bunch of strobe lights, a popcorn maker. He's like, y'all could have had your own Bonanza City block party. And they all just get super pissed that they lost. And I can't remember what the other thing was. But yeah, then they do the talent show where my boy Jared the Blood, he isn't in his pimp outfit, sadly. He gets on stage and quotes like an entire Shakespeare thing. I mean, he's still doing his own thing. I'm not gonna judge the dude, but like, whoa. And then the two older dudes reenacted Romeo and Juliet or whatever, but neither of them had read the book, so they kind of did what they wanted, and they were pretty funny. Not really at the show, but they had a thing before then that was funny, the stop I'm peeing thing. Then that Olivia girl got on stage, and I swear they must have given those kids meth or something. I mean, that Alex guy already has like one tooth in the front of his mouth, but her first joke she said, that Olivia girl, was, you know, being a comedian's pretty hard. People laugh at you, and they all just went crazy, and they did that for the rest of her jokes, so I just skipped the entire thing because I didn't want to watch it. Savannah gets on stage again, and that was one of the Kentucky girls, says, you know what, I'm not leaving. And they do another thing where everyone lines up single file to go get a gold star, and Potato Girl from the last one nominates herself, and then everyone else either says Amy Schumer Jr. or the Kentucky girl that wasn't gonna leave, and the other Kentucky girl got it, which makes a lot of sense to me because the Olivia girl, her little sister had already gotten a star, so they would have gotten $40,000 from that show. Like, I don't think they're gonna give one to her. So, that was that episode. See y'all tomorrow morning, where I hopefully am still sane. I just woke up. This is my third day working on this. Last night before I went to sleep, I watched Kid Nation. This morning when I woke up, I watched Kid Nation. This show is my life now. So, this episode, we're on what, 9 now? Yeah, episode 9. So it starts out with them going to their little book that Jonathan Karsh obviously wrote himself. So it says, switch up the teams, because I know that they thought, oh, this would cause some drama, like these 40 kids we threw into the desert, don't have enough of that already. So then they move Blaine, who's that kid that was always hanging out with Greg. They move him. I think that vegan girl from the second or third episode. I don't know exactly if it was her. Nathan dude from the last one. And that was it. It was just those three that they moved. So, yeah, then Greg's, super pissed his friend is gone. And the red team's super pissed that they have Nathan now. And, crap. Yeah, so, they're trying to go back to normal, but the leaders won't let that happen. What was the competition? Oh, the competition, they had to put a bunch of rocks in an obstacle course and carry them across the field, where they had to throw around haystacks and stuff. And yeah, surprisingly, none of the groups of kids were able to carry 500 pounds of rocks across the bug. Were able to carry that across the field. There's a fly. So they didn't get the prize. Jared made a death threat. My boy Jared, he told his leader to lock his cell when they sleep at night, because for some reason they threw the red team in jail. They should have given them another room and just put Taylor in there. Put her in a cell and don't feed her, because screw Taylor. Taylor sucks. Surprisingly, Mike has kind of been redeeming himself, but he's still super annoying. Screw Mike. Mike sucks. Mike's last name is probably Hawk. So, I guess that's episode 9. See y'all in hopefully not an hour. I need to, pace myself because my mental health is deteriorating. Guten Morgen, Big Forehead Gang. I'm here right now, slightly more energetic and awake. So, episode 10 starts out with them voting out the entire council. They're all gone. And to replace them is Greg and Blaine, the two guys that have just been, causing problems and messing with everyone. And what they do first. It's not ping pong with trash cans. They don't go steal those dune buggies and ride them around the town. They do a conversation exercise, where they just made, everyone talk, and you couldn't, interrupt someone, because they thought there was a problem with it. So, I thought that was pretty boring at first. Then I realized they pissed off the entire town. They were probably planning that. That was awesome. Except Jared, don't piss off Jared, he's a blood. But then yeah, everyone's mad at them. And then there's like one of the barns that they're all sleeping in. They're in there talking crap. And the leaders all like go outside and just eavesdrop on their conversations. And one of the dudes in there said, you know what? It would be a lot more helpful if they just set up chairs in the middle of the street and complimented everyone. The Mad Lads did it. The Mad Lads did that the next day. They went and put chairs in the street, and they were messing with everyone that was walking by. And then like people came by and they were arguing, and then Greg and Blaine made some people cry. So what was the competition? They had to get pies, and they were standing on these like thin beams. You know the things they have at like the gymnastics places where you have to like walk across it. It was like those. And they had these giant poles. It was 2 people at a time trying to keep a pie from falling. Then they had to put the order of every pie had a picture in it that was like some machine used for communication, like radios, phones, TVs, like that. And then they had to put them in order. And then after that, Taylor threatens to leave, and that I was so happy. I thought she was actually gonna go because her like best friend was gone or whatever. But it turned out like that situation where the dude with the 3rd grade girlfriend left, and his friend just stayed back and became a depressed fake drunk. But yeah, so she threatens to leave. Then everyone just like starts getting along again or whatever, which I don't understand too well. And trying to extend this to an hour. I'm trying to think of more that happened. Okay, well, so then at the town meeting that night, Taylor surprisingly doesn't want to go, and she stays. But then like everyone gets mad at Greg, and Greg's just yelling at the whole town. So yeah, no one goes. I seriously wish that they would just like have more people leave the show, because I mean they did that to Jimmy. Poor Jimmy, he had to leave. I'm sure if he stayed a little while longer, he would have liked it, and perhaps, I don't know, that interview of him with JonTron, he seemed like he didn't really like being there at all. But, oh yeah, the prize. So the prize for their competition was either they'd get a bunch of ponies, which they could like use to do chores and stuff and make them a lot easier, or they could get letters from their parents. 10 days before the show's over, they were done. They were 75% like of the way there, and they chose the letters. Even though right before then they said every reason why they shouldn't have picked the letters. They really did. You know what? They should have picked them, because if people started crying and wanted to leave, I mean, that would have been content. But yeah, so they didn't have the ponies, so people still had to go do their water runs. But at the end, they gave the star to Laurel, who was the old girl in charge of the green. And so she gets on the phone to call her mom, since they do that with like every winner of the star. Her mom has the thickest Boston accent I've ever heard. You thought I was going to say something else, but no, I was not. I mean, she sounded like she was from like, I'd say the core of Boston, and the first thing I did was just start laughing when I heard her voice. I mean, sorry. I know a couple people from Boston, sorry to y'all, but I don't really have accents though. But still, it was a haha funny comedy moment. Guten Morgen, Big Forehead Gang. Welcome back to another part of the Kid Nation series. I can't remember what episode I'm on. I think we're on 11. So it starts out with the Taylor girl and her friends in the chicken coop. They're talking about how they love some of the chickens, and they'd also talked about wanting to kill all the ugly ones. All chickens are ugly. Who looks at a chicken and goes, hey, that's not an ugly chicken right there? I mean, chicken-wise maybe, but pretty sure everyone should think chickens are ugly. So then Sophia goes up to the town council and says, hey, can we kill some chickens or something? Like a lot of them. So they're, yeah, okay, we're gonna kill 10. So they go there and get the chickens, and then Taylor has an autistic meltdown because they were gonna kill some of them that she liked. So she made them like take them out, and her friends just picked the ones that they wanted killed. And once again, the whole town went and watched them slaughter chickens. So, yeah, what happened next? So, the competition, what was it? I have good memory sometimes, but not right now. Just let me remember what it was. Competition doesn't matter because I can't remember it all, so it probably wasn't either that funny or interesting. So they could have chosen between a library. Oh no, now I remember. So they had to read a bunch of history books that they had because the journal or whatever said, hey, read these books because y'all need to get smarter. And then it was like a quiz thing, like, what Indian tribe like owned this land back in the 1700s or whatever. So they talked about all that. And then of course they went with the arcade because there's like a week left of this show, and they like had always picked the serious stuff. So they went with the arcade, which I guess pissed Sophia off. So she went to the store, bought the rest of the books they had, and then built her own library. And they also banned Taylor from the arcade. That was a Chad move. That was a Chad move right there. They kicked her out and said do some work, but then they let her back in after one day. They really did that. So she comes back. Then they're at the town meeting. They asked, okay, who here doesn't like the arcade? Sophia, the OCD kid that likes the chores, and DK. They're the ones that raised their hands. So, yeah, they're the only ones that said they didn't like it. And then for some reason they decided, you know what, we're putting a padlock on the thing until, you know, y'all get your work done so y'all can't spend the entire day in the arcade. So then my boy Brady, no, not Brady, my boy Jared from Subway, his son maybe, I don't know. So they shouldn't even have him in like one of those groups or whatever, because he's always off doing his own thing anyways. I mean, Jared should have his own group, and it should just be Jared and maybe the Asian kid with only like one tooth in the front. It's not even like one's missing. It's like they're both one tooth. I don't... Just how? How is that physically possible? So Jared decides, you know what? I'm not going to do work. So he goes over to the arcade, and Mike, screw Mike, Mike sucks again, decided to also go with him. So they were just playing in the arcade, and that happened before the meeting. Yeah, that happened like before they all decided, you know, we're gonna lock it until y'all do work. But then after they locked it, I think Jared went another time in just the middle of the day. Like, I'm not gonna do my work. I'm gonna go to the arcade. You can't blame the kid. I don't think he'd ever like really done that much work. He was just always off doing his own thing. So yeah, I guess that concludes just this episode, because we all know I'm just gonna keep doing them today until I can't even think anymore. South of Santa Fe. Just look it up. Look up where is the city that they had Kid Nation in. So it turns out I was wrong. Bonanza was a real ghost town. It's just it's all confusing. Apparently, it's also like owned by the movie network, and they said that there were some like old Western movies shot there or whatever. So I'm so happy. After this, I only have one more of these to do, and I'm happy that it's gonna end. This show is it's something else. It really is. It's the weirdest mixture of bad and good. It's like ironic humor. You know how that's big now? It'll be like a deep fried meme of Peter Griffin that says something like eggplant. And for some reason, I find that hilarious. That's how this show is. So, man. Episode, 12? Yeah. That's the one I just finished. So, it starts out, they elect Sophia, who had basically been the chef for, like, the whole show. Well, they don't elect her, they kind of like force her to be the sheriff. So, then the book tells all four of the leaders, hey, go out to this location and find a group of people that have been, living here for centuries. So, they go, they're all like the big dudes. That town was 8 miles south of Santa Fe. I find it hard to believe that there would be a fully functioning, like, Indian tribe, like, still living in, like, the teepees and stuff, that close to Santa Fe. I mean, it seemed like it took them a while to get there, but, I mean, they spent the night there. Maybe, I don't know. It showed that they got there, like, let's say halfway through the day, it got dark, and then they showed up the next day. So could have been some like movie magic or whatever. So yeah, they get to this tribe. There's 3 teepees up and maybe like 15 people in the village, but only 2 of them actually like talk and stuff. So in the city, since they decided to lock down the arcade until all the chores were done, Sophia was going around making sure that everyone's jobs were done. She said that she was trying to open it in 30 minutes, which she did. Like, everything got done fast that day. So arcade opens, they start having fun. The competition is like the Homestead Act. They decided to base it off of that, but the competition was each team had like their own little mini house. They had to carry it piece by piece. Like, they're literally just picking up the roof and picking up the walls, like, individually, walking them over to another place, rebuilding the house. Then they had to go back and bring chickens and alpacas there. Are alpacas, like, native to New Mexico? No, they can't be. I have no idea where they're from. I thought they were from like South America. But yeah, they had to go carry alpacas. And were alpacas even in the U.S. when they had the Homestead Act? Like when all that started, were there even like wild alpacas over here or what? What can they even be used for? They're alpacas. Like, and they have alpaca milk or something? I don't know. Do the people kill them and eat them? That doesn't seem likely. I guess they could shear them. I don't know how fast their hair grows. I barely know anything about alpacas. So they end up barely finishing the competition because all the big dudes now are like the council members. So they're all off with the Native American tribe. And they end up winning the competition. They get their prize. They could have chosen between a monument and a hot air balloon ride. And it was all up to the sheriff. And she was talking about how, hot air balloon rides maybe gonna last like 10 to 15 minutes, but that monument will be here forever. And then she went with the hot air balloon rides. So they were all like up in those. And it didn't look like they went too far. It's like they just floated up and stayed there. And then they went back down when the council showed up. They're like, we're on Indian land. And yeah, at this point of the show, no one else is going to leave. I mean, they lost only 3 people. That really surprised me. Only 3 people decided to leave. I mean, some of those kids were 9. They were 9, living out in the New Mexico desert for over a month without their like family, without their friends from home. That only got to 3 people. But yeah, at that like town meeting, that fly won't go away. I wasn't here yesterday. Okay, at the meeting, they decided, yeah, only one council member, I think, had a problem with the arcade. Yeah, that was DK. And yet they decided to just padlock the whole thing to where it's like permanently shut down. They have 4 days left because they needed bonding time and people barely knew each other. You had over a month to get to know someone and you didn't. I mean, that just means you don't want to know them. You shouldn't like force them together like that. And like almost the whole town like just used that arcade like for like the past 2 days or however long they had it. I mean, I said this earlier in the hour-long video. These kids were actually told when they got on, you're gonna go out in like the wilderness for a month. You're just gonna stay up till midnight every night and have fun. And they got rid of all that. They got rid of all of that. See y'all in the next one. I'm so happy these are ending. This is it. This is my last episode. Not episode, last part, because this video is like over an hour long. If you made it, congrats. You just wasted an hour of your time watching the Village Idiot ramble. So, episode 10, no, not 10, episode 13. I'm dumb. So, episode 13, it starts like they wake up, immediately give a gold star out to, they gave it to that kid from Miami that probably ended up on like one of those Miami reality shows. He looked like a 10-year-old version of one of those dudes. You know, the one whose name's Josh and just has Monster Energy tattoo on his neck. So they do that, and it's not really a competition because they all had to work together to make spaghetti, then make a giant picnic. Well, make a couple picnic tables, and it's supposed to be for their so-called party. So all the kids are there. Jonathan Karsh is just like, hey, you guys won. And so here are all your parents, and everyone's parents just come like running down, and suddenly every kid who was a brat is just acting normal. Screw Taylor. Taylor sucks. Screw Mike. Mike also sucks. So, yeah, they're all reunited with their parents. And then, like, they show them around, and none of them are... I'd say they're all shocked at, like, the living conditions that their kids have been in for over a month. And there's one lady that had to go use the restroom, and I guess that the porta potties didn't have locks. Her kid's just on the like door of it, like, she really had to go. What a city slicker. It's like a year ago, I wasn't even living there my entire life. And then they have 3 like bigger stars that are worth $50,000, and they gave one to Sophia, one to, can't remember her name, starts with an M. Yeah, both of them had already gotten like gold stars, so they got $70,000 from that show. And they gave it to I don't know how to pronounce that girl's name. Migle, that's it. Migle. They gave one to Migle. Is that a real name? I don't think it is. So then people just start like giving speeches and stuff, and then they all like run out of the barn, go get their stuff, and it just ends. I'm pretty sure they're hoping to have at least one more season of that. If they brought it back, I'd honestly like go on the show too. I mean, why not? You just get to live out in like the desert for a month, and basically Jonathan Karsh provides everything for you. So, I mean, they really didn't just go survive on their own. It's every time they won a competition, they got like more and more stuff. They weren't always living like how they were in the first episode. Forgot to mention, someone like burned that wall in the intro. This was the best part about the episode. How could I forget this? They burned like the shore wall or whatever, a whole city for like a couple hours to just Lord of the Flies. And they just ran through every store, just took everything that was in there. All the candy was gone and stuff. Jared was making like a thing of root beer from his dad. They called it, can't remember what they called it. It's Bonanza something. And it was like, okay. What I thought happened was Jared poured it in the cup, got like another like shot glass full of it, and just like dropped it in, but apparently not. And I heard the glass break, but his dad like chugged the whole thing. I have spent in the last 3 days over 9 hours watching that show, 8 of which were in the past 24 hours. I spent a third of a day watching Kid Nation. What are you still doing here? You didn't leave 20 minutes in? What's wrong with you? You just watched some random 16-year-old talk about Kid Nation for an hour? Get out of my sight.